so to speak, a journalist. But I have been in the line of communication for the last 29 years. My background basically being an administrator and later on as a diplomat. I am here to talk about the Kenyan case, the Kenya government case, on what we are doing in terms of opening up the government to provide information and to allow the public to access information that is within the government domain. There are Kenyans here, so I'll try as much as possible and not give in some to diplomacy. Because sometimes diplomacy has a tendency of twisting things. The WikiLeaks is not far behind us. Ladies and gentlemen, on 27th of August 2010, we promulgated the new constitution. This then necessitated a paradigm shift in how we deal with information in government. A raft of new provisions were included which opened up not only the government but also the nation to the public. Never before had a constitution emphasized the upholding of the rights of the citizen and the freedoms they would enjoy. Let me, if you allow, coordinator, just go back a little bit and use myself as an example of how information used to grow before the new constitution. I was employed as a district officer. A district officer is in line from a department called Provincial Administration, which is headed by the president. You come from the president, the provincial commissioner, district officer, district commissioner, district officer, the chiefs, assistant chiefs, etc. So that you as an individual in a village somewhere, you are known. Because if somebody wanted you, they'll start from the assistant chief, find out where you are. Remember, we have identification cards in Kenya, which says where you are, from what tribe you are, etc. So as a district officer, I was a master of everything. I would advise on when to take your children to school, how many children you should give birth to. I would solve land issues. I would solve marriage issues. In fact, at one stage I was amazed. 3 months into my employment, a couple came to me to try and solve the dispute. I had to say something. And of course I said something, but don't ask me what to say. Along the line, the issue of girl education came up. I dealt with it. I went into diplomacy. I was a spokesman of the government when I first went to Nigeria, and then I went to Italy. But the point I want to make is, yes, I gave information, but what information did I give? Where did I get that information? And was it authoritative enough? For people like Honorable Manyara, sometimes those days we used to think of them as being peers. Our constitution making took 20 years. And thank God people like Honorable Manyara, we were able to converge both people within government, the civil society, and the rest of the citizens. We came up with a document. Our point of discussion here today is the issue of access information. Section 35 of the Constitution, subsection 1, says as follows. Every citizen has a right to access A, information held by the state, and B, information held by another person and required for the exercise or protection of any right or fundamental freedom. It goes on, but my emphasis was the issue of the right to information. The right to information, therefore, is a fundamental right for the people of Kenya. There was therefore need for the government to listen to these people and to put measures in place to satisfy this need. We therefore had to quickly, as a Minister of Information and Communication, try and do something about it. I'm aware the Freedom of Information Bill has been in the works for a while. This morning I spoke to Mr. Maina, I don't know whether he's here. He's smiling. And I told him we are making all efforts to make sure it goes through. And he was very skeptical. He says it has been in the works for 5 years and it seems to have gotten stuck at cabinet level. But my take is this. As we speak now, the President and a team from our ministry will be heading to New York to go and sign on to the Open Government Partnership. The Constitution has said the government must give access to information. Who are we not to do so? If we, at the government level, stick to that information, we will be able to work out. So the bill is at a cabinet level. Thereafter, it will go to Honorable Manyara and his team in Parliament. And again, in discussion with Mr. Maina, he was saying sometimes politicians are suspicious of the media and vice versa. We hope this time round, before the end of the year, we will have Freedom of Information Act in place. Secondly, as government, we have launched the Open Data Portal. opendata.go.ke that for the first time makes large government data available to the general public. Census data, government expenditure, parliamentary proceedings, public service locations, maps, interactive charts for deeper understanding, and raw data for technical users to build their applications and analysis. And it's available for public consumption. In addition, we have what is called Constituency Development Fund, and I think it was mentioned this morning, where funds are made available to each constituency for development purposes. This is a grassroots initiative that cuts across all 220 constituencies. It's expected that in due course, all data concerning the public will be made available. We are thinking of even making available individual data to public officers. For example, if you're a doctor, we want to know how many people have died in your watch. We want to know how many people have been cured under your watch, so that each citizen can decide if you have killed 10 people in a year, will they come to you? Matters to education, agriculture, energy, transport, etc. are going to be within reach of the public domain. Third, as you may be aware, there are 300 cables which have come to Kenya. Easy, Seacom, and Teams, bringing broadband connectivity to citizens. So far, my understanding is we have about 4,000 kilometers of the cable within the country. The government is considering connecting all the 47 counties. 47 counties are the ones which are going to be established in the next 2 years. In addition to that, the government is, with the private sector, going to have terrestrial optic fiber cable that will now link up what is coming out from the sea and within the country. So far, only 26% of the Kenyan citizens can access internet. We expect that with the terrestrial fiber cable, we should be able to see this figure going up. Fourth, the government has set up rural resource centers in so far 24 constituencies. These centers, we have equipped them with cameras, computers, and they are accessible via internet at no cost to the citizen. This financial year, the government has set up, has provided $1.2 million to see that those centers are increased. Further, a G4 license will be issued on a PPP basis, public-private partnership, to enable faster internet speeds as well as processing of large data. And this we expect to be in place in a year's time. Fifth, on a PPP basis, the government has encouraged young entrepreneurs to set up digital villages with funding from financial institutions. Initially, we have used a local bank called Family Bank. We expect that these digital villages will increase, going by the example of what has already been set up. The government is willing and is ready to partner with other financial institutions to roll out other digital villages to cover all the 210 constituencies in the country. It's expected that the extensive availability of internet services will facilitate easy access to information, thus creating an informed citizenry. Ladies and gentlemen, these measures are by no means exhaustive. But we want to leverage on what we have gained so far so that we can be able to have a citizenry that is informed. Some of you may be aware that we have a money transfer telephone system. My understanding is it could be the only one in the world so far. Personally, I use it every month to send money to my mother. Now, this money transfer has enabled the transport and communication sector to grow at 20% annually since 2007. If we can leverage on that growth so that we can improve ICT access, we will then have young entrepreneurs using government data to come up with applications that will then ensure they remain in employment. Our only worry from where we sit is that Kenyans don't read. Kenyans don't read. The farthest they go, and the Kenyans wife can testify with me, is reading a newspaper. Even that newspaper, they want it for free. So what do we do? Prior to the Constitution, a lot of Kenyans didn't read the Constitution. So where did they get the information from? They got it from politicians, or they got it from the church. And sometimes the information they got had nothing to do with what was in the Constitution. I didn't go to my church for 3 sessions because I didn't believe in what they told me. So, and I think, Honorable Manyara mentioned yesterday, something to do with that we are providing and we are